Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming to the IT 101 CoSpaces review. Well, it's not a review, but a little exploration on this cool new software that you'll be using in class. So to get started, everything can be found from this link. It's here. I'll type it in the chat as well. It's iStreetView.com. So this will allow us to extract 3D or 360-degree panoramic images from Google Maps and import it into our CoSpaces environments that you'll be working with. So I'm going to first get you guys set up with this iStreet View and then work through the tutorial with CoSpaces. So the first part that we got to do is the iStreetView.com. So from there, I will share it. I'll share my screen so everyone can see. Okay. Now, from here, we can go to iStreetView.com. And this will plop us down somewhere in the world. And then we will have to explore a little bit. From here, what we can do is search for either a specific location, like a town or a place in the world. Or if you want more details, since this search is not the greatest function, we should go to our actual Google Maps, which is at maps.google.com. For example, maps.google.com or map.google.com. And we can search anywhere here using this search function. For example, we can go to the Apple headquarters. In Cupertino, California. And from here, you get this nice overview. But to get the street view, the easiest way that I found is in the bottom right-hand corner. You click and drag this little gold person onto the map on one of these tealish lines. And then when you let go, it'll take you into the street view where you can then look around. Now from here, we have got to find the right, here, hold on. We've got to find the panorama ID for this image right here. So in order to do that, we have to go back to iStreetView.com and load using the load a panorama function on the top left. You can click that and then paste the URL from the street view. So if you go up to here on your street view image to the URL and copy that, go back to iStreetView, and in the load a panorama from URL, paste it in here. And it will give you the exact location. once we found the right place and the right street view that you want, you can either move around a little bit using these arrows to get a good image. And then the key is up in the middle of your screen, the panorama ID, which is unique for every street view image. And I can annotate right here. That's what we want to copy, and that's what we will use to extract the image. So we can copy this by just clicking the little key here. Okay, once we have that key found, we have to download the actual application for Street View Download 360. From here, where we just have our key, on the left, you click on the Street View Download 360, which takes you to a page where you will download for macOS or Windows. This is just the process of how it's done. For me, I have a macOS, so I pressed this and downloaded the application. And the download process is usually pretty simple. However, on this one, before you can open it, you have to navigate to your system preferences and privacy, and then allow this application from the web to be installed. So for example, when I download this, oops, I think I already have it installed, but this link should work for either Windows or Mac OS. Before you try to open the application, we have to go into our system preferences and allow the app to be opened. Under System Preferences, click on Security and Privacy. And in here, under the General tab, there should be a little warning here saying, we have this app that is not identified, and it's blocking the installation. So what you've got to do is unlock the lock here, enter in your password, and then press allow. Once that's done, you can now open the Street View Download 360. Now, Street View Download, the icon is a little golden person. And when we open it, it should look like this. It's just a little pretty basic window. Now under Panorama Download, you've got to click a location to save the image. For me, I'll just put it in my OneDrive. Now, under the next blank field, you paste in the panorama ID that we found from our iStreetView.com in the top middle. Of course, we would want to save it at the highest resolution, and then download the panorama. Since it is a 360-degree image, it does take a little bit longer than just a normal JPEG. But once we have this downloaded, we're ready to jump into CoSpaces. Alrighty. And that's what it'll look like. Now, back on our browser, we can go to CoSpaces.edu. I believe, maybe CoSpaces.com. It's actually CoSpaces.io. CoSpaces.io. At this homepage, you'll be prompted to register, which you will put in your information and register as a student. Now, registering under a student requires a classroom code. Well, it just logged me in since I already have an account. But when you log in when you register as a student, it will be prompted for your class code, which you get from your professor. So that process is pretty easy. Once you log in, you'll just have the basic plan, and there's no need to download the pro version. So please do not. Now here is the CoSpaces.io homepage. Here you will see your professor's class. But for me, I am not part of a class right now. Once you click on your class, you can then select on your CoSpaces. And by default, there is the Welcome to CoSpaces EDU space, which I highly recommend opening. I will shortly or briefly go through this. This tells you how to navigate, how to click on objects, and how to do multiple things. So here you have multiple tabs, including the library, which you can click on and find a host of different items. For example, you can add a little cat. To move around the page, you click and hold your mouse. You can also click on objects, which you'll be able to modify. For example, scaling them up or down using this button, lifting, rotating using all three axes, and also moving forward, up and down. You can also click on elements themselves by right-clicking, and more options appear. You can change animations, materials, opacity, all sorts of good stuff. And then you can also copy things by pressing Alt and Alt, clicking and dragging. Alt, clicking and dragging. Attaching objects together is also a cool thing to do. For example, you can put a dog and maybe a car, which then I can click on an object, press A, the key A, and click on another object. In this tutorial page, there are a few different tabs over here. I should have started you guys on the welcome page. but you guys can mess around with this too as well. Again, this is very basic tutorial. Click and drag. You can press spacebar and drag, which moves laterally forward, which does not rotate. You can scroll in and out. And you can also change where the screen is centered on. For example, you can click on any object, press V, and then when you rotate around, it will center on that object. Press C to move out again. I'm going to skip the tablet navigation. Go straight to the camera. Here's the camera object, which appears on every space. When you press play on the top right, it zooms you in to the camera view. The default is walk mode, so you can use your WASD keys to move around as the camera. In the background, you can see something that you might be able to add to one of your CoSpaces as well. Okay, you guys are ready to make your own now. So we can create a CoSpace using a 360-degree image. This is where we will be able to import our street view map. So not 3D environment, we use 360-degree image. Now from here, you can move around all over. The first thing to do is go down to the bottom left, click on either environment or upload. At the end, we actually want the environment to become our panoramic image. So when you click on environment, the first box here, you can click edit, which then brings up your file editor or finder. Now here's my image that I selected, which you can then open. And there we are. Here's Apple headquarters. Now, I would just say that you cannot move as you would in Google Maps around this area. It is a still image, but you can add different objects in here that do move around in free space. So I will do just that. For example, I'll add person right along here, which then I can scale up, maybe rotate to face me. There we go. And we have now put in our first person. Do another person, for example. One of these guys might be Tim Cook. All right, now here's where the fun begins. You can do all sorts of things with each of these characters. If you right-click them, you can set animations to walking, for example, or running, or writing, dancing, set reactions. I like walking. Now we can code with all of our elements in our CoSpace here. In order to enable coding for an object, you right click and click on code and use in CoBlocks. Now, to start coding, at the top right, you can click just that to code and with CoBlocks. All right, and here is our editor. Of course, it starts when play is clicked, when you click on play. And there are many elements here that we can choose from. For example, we might be able to move our regular boy maybe a little bit. So we can move him maybe 8 meters forward in 4 seconds. Then when we click play, it starts moving. Now you can get very creative here. However, we are a little bit limited on the actions that these people can do. For example, moving, turning, and stop transition. You can also add panels for talking. And here, one occurs after the other. So it's very, very basic and simple. You can set little sounds, events if one of them is clicked. You can have loops. You can wait, which I recommend doing a lot to make it kind of interactive. However, we do not have access to more of these pro codes, but you can do a lot with the basic ones. And that's how it is. You'll be able to reference the project description. You can have some fun with different elements that you want to add in, like houses or cars, buildings, all sorts of things. And if you also want to see other people's projects that are publicly available, you can also do those and view those from the home page. So it saves automatically. And you can then head back to home. If you want to see other people's projects, you can click on Gallery, and it will load a bunch of projects that you'll be able to move around in. Okay, thank you so much for coming to our little review here. Hopefully you guys make some interesting things, which I can see, and have fun with it. See you guys later.